Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today, and we're going to talk about some more rosters. So, first of all, the last few days I've talked about rosters. Gotta say that this video has been recorded about 3 days in advance, so hopefully nothing incredible has happened over the last few days. This is going up on Tuesday, which means that yesterday the Pro League will have happened, so this will be slightly out of date, but just to say that tonight's action, so these matches will have already happened by the time you guys are watching this. This is in Pacific Standard Time. These matches are going to be tonight's matches: UYUE6, LG Units, FaZe 100 Thieves, and Evil Geniuses versus Splyce. So we'll have to see how they do. It's an interesting new squad have Evil Geniuses got, and here it is. So these are all the teams currently. This is Evil Geniuses' new squad: Exotic Attach, Apathy, JCap, joined by Accuracy. He's going to be the new pickup for this team. Revan's still as coach, so I wanted to talk through this change because dropping Phantoms, and I believe he did get dropped off this team because he's ended up on UYU, and it does make sense. A lot of these players know Accuracy, have played with him, like he's a very easy guy to get along with behind the scenes, and he's got many friends within the community. So this may be an example of one of those friendship kind of changes where they've brought him in as the main assault rifle because of the vibe situation, and maybe even though Phantoms seem like a very easy guy to get along with as well and a very nice guy, maybe he doesn't quite have the chemistry that Accuracy has established over the years. So look, this is what they announced as their change. Here we go, a roster update. Evil Geniuses Call of Duty, welcome Accuracy. So Lamar Abedi, CoD roster update, plus Accuracy minus Phantoms in the main assault rifle role. Now, Evil Geniuses have had not a good time of things the last couple of events. They placed top 16 at both London, which is last place, and Anaheim. So not a good result at all. But I do think that their team was better than their placing suggested. At London, I forget exactly what happened at London, but they had a difficult pool with like Envy, United, and FaZe, I think, and then they lost in the very first round of losers, maybe to Reciprocity or something. And then they had a hard time at Anaheim as well. They lost to Heretics in pools, which are a pretty decent team, difficult to beat on occasion. And then they went down to losers and they lost to Splyce game 5, round 11, where Looney did a 1v5 on them in the game 2. So look, it's tough for them. I do think probably a change was due, but was this the correct change? Difficult to say, you know. I think, to be honest, when you place top 16 twice in a row, regardless of the circumstances, you're pretty sure that you're not going to be able to win a championship or win a world championship with this roster. Whether Accuracy is the guy to get that job done, though, is another question in its entirety. So, like, if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new. As always, I'd greatly appreciate it. And here is what they said on their Facebook, because they do their updates on Facebook, which is kind of funny. So, June 21st, Evil Geniuses would like to announce a change to our Call of Duty team as we head to the final stretch of the CWL Pro League. Lamar Accuracy Abedi will be joining EG in place of Phantoms, who will be returning to FaZe for different loan opportunities. It turns out he has gone over to this UYU team as their main assault rifle now. Following CWL London, we were able to make substantial improvements to our performance in the Pro League, which is true, but CWL Anaheim proved there is still work to be done. Accuracy, previously on Splyce, came second at Fort Worth earlier this year, and we believe his addition to the team will be exceedingly beneficial. I'm really excited to start playing and see how we can improve. Accuracy brings a lot of structure to every team he's on, and I think that's something we were lacking. Jordan JCap Kaplan. Now, of course, Jacob, a very knowledgeable player about the game, so I wouldn't doubt him on that one. So this is going to be the team, and let's discuss it in some length here. So, of course, Attach has been the hard carry for this team. He's been going off in the majority of the series they've played in. The interesting thing was that the series they won at CW Anaheim, they played against Units in pools, and they won, and Attach actually had his worst statistical performance of any of the matches they played, but that was the one that they won convincingly. The other games they played, he was dominating. The rest of his team was not doing so well. Now, Exotic, I think, is a good player. I do think he had a very lackluster event by his standards at Anaheim. I don't think it was any way right to get rid of him. He's been very good so far this year on the whole. And yes, he's kind of the SMG partner to Apathy. And honestly, I think Exotic's a good player. I think he just had a lackluster event. Not too big a sample size. There's only 4 series at the end of the day. So I think in theory, he could be a lot better player than he showed this weekend. I think it was correct to keep him on the team. So obviously the question with attaches is that he could have gone to FaZe Clan as far as I'm aware if he'd have wanted to, which means that, you know, he's obviously having maybe some regrets, and hopefully he can get the better of FaZe Clan when it comes down to the wire, because yes, I think he could have gone onto that team instead of a Sypien if he so liked, but supposedly JCap, you know, basically finessed attach onto his team, which is the typical JCap way. So yes, joining Exotic in the SMG partner, we have Apathy. Now, double world champion along with JCap, like, you can't complain about a guy like Apathy on your team. I think he's been relatively good as well. So in terms of an SMG line of Apathy and Exotic, it's relatively good from what I think, and attach has been very, very good as well. I guess the two question marks right now in terms of changes you might have considered making were accuracy and JCap. Now, JCap is the captain of this team, but questions do have to be asked. Now, JCap, of course, has made a grand finals this year on that E-United team all the way back at Cellium Vegas at the start of the year. So, you know, obviously a very accomplished player, clearly can bring a lot to a team. I remember Exotic saying on Reddit soon after they started teaming that JCap's probably the best teammate he's ever had, gets so much mileage out of him that he wouldn't have got before, really understands how to play the game. And I can understand that, but I don't think, in theory, he's a great fit for these really fast-paced jetpack games. Last year on Luminosity in World War II, he was honestly a very solid player. He was a very versatile player, and, you know, the pacing of that game kind of suited his play. This game, it doesn't. This game, he's not going to be putting up good numbers. And let's face it, him and Attach are the Maddox duo. And if you want to be a competitive team right now, you need very, very strong players on your Maddoxes, I think. You need players who can put up big, big numbers, and it's the strongest gun in the game. Attach is doing it. JCap is never going to do it. He's never going to put up a 1.0 on this title. He could do it last year, no problem. But on this title, he's going to be putting up a 0.9 or a 0.85 or, yeah, maybe even lower, whatever it happens to be. So whether JCap is the right man to stay in the team is interesting. He probably, especially in these faster titles, would be better suited to a coaching role. But, you know, Revan is coach, and I know the guys on the team respect JCap as a player on the team and as a leadership figure, and he definitely has plenty of intangibles, let's put it that way. Whether a team with JCap on in this title is going to be able to win a world championship, I somehow doubt it. But yes, he is teaming with Apathy again. They did win the World Championship in Black Ops 3. That was a fast-paced title, so maybe there's something to be said for that. So okay, if you're not going to get rid of JCap, then was there really any reason to make a change? Because you've changed out Phantoms for accuracy in your main assault rifle role, and Phantoms was probably your second best performer on this team statistically. He was very good on the FaZe Black squad, and then he gets this opportunity on Evil Geniuses, and to be honest, in the league, he kind of crushed it. These are his statistics from the league. So Phantoms, a 1.23 rating, 1.21 overall KD. And, you know, this X Factor figure is very interesting to me. This is usually a figure which is very, very low for assault rifles. What I find interesting here is that Octane has a 0.41. And effectively what the X Factor means is it's the difference between your performance when you win a map compared to when you lose a map. And in Anaheim, Octane's X Factor was basically 0.03. He was putting out consistent performances whether they were winning or losing. Obviously not the best figure because it depends whether you win games closely or lose games closely or whatever. But it tends to be that if your X Factor is relatively low, then you're probably not necessarily doing that much for your team, as in you're doing the same performances when you win or lose. But then the fact that Octane had basically a 0 X Factor in Anaheim and was still so good implies that the statistic really maybe doesn't mean that much even for assault rifles. But I thought I'd bring that up as a little side topic to consider. Now yes, Phantom's only played 28 maps here compared to these other guys, much higher performance in terms of the maps count. But look at accuracy. He played 62 games, a 0.92 KD, 0.91 AKD, and a very similar X Factor rating. So, look, I mean, in terms of statistics, I don't like to get too much into statistics really, because there's a lot more to the game than that. And of course, when he was on this Splice team, there was a lot of other very good players on the squad. But let's face it, right now, the top teams have a lot of main assault rifles that are very, very good. The teams that are competitive have great main ARs. Octane, Morks on Gen.G, Zero on FaZe, Crimsix on OpTic is pretty damn good with it as well. And Phantoms was that guy for Evil Geniuses. He was a very respectable main assault rifle player. He put up great figures with the ICR, and he could do it. Now, accuracy has not been as good this season. You can't really say otherwise. It's difficult to argue otherwise. He has been on Splice all season. He did make the grand finals at Fort Worth. He did come top 3 at Vegas. But, you know, the entire year he hasn't been as good as Phantoms statistically, and in terms of the eye test, it's probably a similar story. So it seems to me they're bringing him in for the, not necessarily the friendship, but for the chemistry. And this is something interesting to look at, obviously, because you have Phantoms who statistically probably a superior assault rifle this season. Accuracy was of course great last season, but maybe that game suited him a little bit better. He had 3 championships last season. There's no doubt about that. Accuracy was a fantastic player last year, deserved a lot of the respect he got. This year he got somewhat unfortunate, really, not to get picked up onto 100 Thieves, but in the end that was probably, you could say that was a pretty damn good decision from them, given the circumstances that have gone down over the last few months. So the fact that Accuracy has come into this team, it seems on the surface a friendship-related decision. I don't think Phantoms was a toxic player or anything like that. Probably just a player that the guys thought, we've got to change someone. We can't change JCap because it's JCap. So who do we change? And they came together and thought, well, Timmy, he's a new guy, new young guy. We can definitely get away with changing this guy out. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that decision. I think he was very, very good. And I think that Accuracy as a change is difficult to see how it's an upgrade in terms of raw ability and raw power. Now, as JCap says, in terms of structure, it may add a lot to the team. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about. Maybe Accuracy is a great pickup for a number of different reasons, and he will add some structure to the team, and he will add a lot in terms of communication, for example, which is something that you might not get out of Phantoms. So there are some elements, of course, where Accuracy should be an upgrade. But I'm looking at the team and I'm thinking, do they have the firepower right now to actually win a championship? With Phantoms, I thought that they maybe had that firepower with Apathy on the team, with Exotic on the team, with Attach on the team. But with those 3 guys, are really going to be your only guys putting up big figures, because I don't really see Accuracy dropping a 1.1 like a lot of the better assault rifles are doing. So if that's not going to be the case, he's going to have to add a lot of intangibles, let's put it that way, to make Evil Geniuses a competitive team. I think they will possibly be better than what they were, at least in terms of placings. It's difficult to be as bad as what they were in terms of placings, and maybe Phantoms had an impact on that. But, you know, in terms of firepower, it's difficult to see how this is an upgrade. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this down in the comment section below. I do not think these guys are a championship contending team still by any means, but there's probably more to it than just friendship like a lot of people would jump to say. I think that, you know, prior experience and championship winning experience and communication and these kind of things probably mean a lot to a guy like JCap, especially as the captain of this team. But it's not clear that this team is immediately propelled to a competitor for a world championship or even the CWL finals, and it's very unlikely well, not very unlikely, but pretty damn unlikely they'll even make it to Miami anyway to compete there. So we'll have to see how it goes. We may well only see this team at Champs. JCap and Apathy have done a lot of things at Champs in the past. Of course, JCap and Attach won the World Championship in Advanced Warfare. JCap and Apathy won it in Black Ops 3. Whether they can repeat the trick here is, in my opinion, doubtful. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.